Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's premium review in which we are taking a look at the Focke-Wulf 189 A-1 sitting at 1.7 battle rating in both realistic and arcade battle. This plane became available once we got 500,000 lights in the festive quest event, and I tried to fly it out and it went pretty nice. This plane is a fun bomber. Do I dare call it a bomber? I'd say it's more of a fighter, of course, obviously. This plane has a very light frame. It's not really a bomber. It used to be a reconnaissance plane in the real, but this is not the real, so they put some guns on it, and it is acting like a bomber. I mean, it gets 4 50-kilogram bombs and it gets a bomber start. And from there you can pull a lot of fun shenanigans actually, because this plane has a fantastic stall speed at 85 kilometers an hour and works decently well in the vertical as it is a light plane, although not everything combines to make it fantastic in that area, but we'll get to that later. The maximum speed in this plane at sea level is 323 kilometers an hour without WEP and 344 kilometers with WEP. At 4500 meters without WEP you have 279 kilometers an hour, and with WEP only 3 kilometers an hour more at 282. At 6500 meters maximum speed in the plane is 240 kilometers an hour without WEP and 241 with WEP. Top speed in a dive isn't fantastic either. It is 498 kilometers an hour before it redlines and 590 kilometers an hour before it rips apart. Control stiffening in the plane is occurring at around 450 and above. The plane is a little bit sluggish in the roll rate when it's slow and above 450 kilometers an hour. Only 50 kilometers an hour before the red line does that really start. Firepower in the plane is average with 2 times 7.92mm MG17 machine guns, 500 rounds per gun for those. Not too bad. I mean, most of the belts do work. I used universal in this match and I used a 600 meter convergence, although both guns are placed centrally, so you could use 800 meters potentially. The plane also has 2 backward facing turrets, 2 times 7.92mm MG15 machine guns turrets with only 1 gun, 1200 rounds per gun for those, and the plane can hold 4 times 50 kilogram bombs as well. So all in all, it's a nice little plane with some versatility to it. It gets a bomber spawn, which is nice, and from there you can start working your magic. The ammo load on the plane I find good with 500 rounds per gun for the offensive guns. Acceleration in the plane in a straight line is good. In a dive I would also call it good. Energy retention in the horizontal is decent. In the vertical it's average. You do lose a lot of speed in the vertical, especially if you start rolling, so be careful of that. The WEP isn't too powerful on this plane, so that doesn't really add to it. The climb rate in the plane is also nothing to write home about. It's actually pretty bad, although that stall speed at 85 kilometers an hour is fantastic and does give the plane a little edge in vertical maneuvers. As you come from altitude and you start to challenge the fighters, you will have fun time there, and your 85 kilometers an hour stall speed is one of the lowest at this battle rate, so that is quite nice. Turn time in the plane is quite decent. With flaps it's actually good, but of course compared to other monoplanes, compared to biplanes, you have no chance in a turn fight. Flaps do rip off though at 280 kilometers an hour, which is not very high at all. Roll rate in the plane is average, although for such a big plane it's decent. But compared to the smaller planes it is average. Maneuverability in the plane is decent overall. Overheating is easily manageable, so it's not an issue at all. And the durability in the plane, it can take a hit or two, but it does depend on the angle. The whole cockpit is more or less glass. You know, for the visibility, it is a recon plane after all. But we don't have that function in the game yet. Maybe one day, who knows. But that cockpit makes the pilot very vulnerable to getting sniped. So be careful with head-ons, and yeah, getting hit basically is not a good thing either. Only from the bottom you have a little bit of protection from the fuselage. But all in all, the pilot is vulnerable. But still, I've taken quite a few hits in this plane. I guess maybe I was lucky here and there. But yeah, pilot is vulnerable. So we in this match were killing quite a few enemies already in the beginning of the match. And we decided to go back to the airfield at a certain point. As we ran out of ammo, we got back into the fight and we found this guy who had also landed. We took our few ground target kills before that as we went, because we saw that he was landing anyway, so we were not in a rush. Get a nice ace here with 2 ground targets and first place in the team. As we jump into the arcade match. Now in the arcade match you have a little bit less trouble with the top speed in this plane. This is definitely not the fastest plane in the world, and you have your warnings for your rip speed pretty quickly. But of course in arcade that is much less of a problem, and you also do not really rip the plane apart very easily, so you can throw the plane around much more easily. Although in realistic battle I also did not manage to rip any wings. But I used it a lot in vertical stall maneuvers, and that works very well in this plane. Although of course, like I said, it is not the super best plane, but there is a lot of planes that have a lower stall speed than this plane and worse low speed behavior. And it is definitely possible to make this plane work in the vertical. In the horizontal it is less agreeable, I would say. In the long term you gotta keep your energy up in a certain way. The climb rate isn't good at all, and energy retention in the vertical is also not very good. So all in all, you definitely got to be aware of your energy state and how much energy you're losing. Don't give it up that easily. Be patient in the plane. Go back up in a shallow climb from a boom, and try to reset on your opponent as it goes. And as you get more practiced in that, you will be able to get very good matches in RB with this plane. The bombers spawn really makes this plane an excellent fighter. Dear. To say it, I mean, those 4 50-kilogram bombs are really inconsequential. I wouldn't take them if I was you. This is a pretty light plane, no need to weigh it down. You're not gonna throw those bombs anyway, because you want to keep your altitude. Even though we got low in this AB match, a lot of pilots were slowly losing their planes anyway. At this battle rating, of course, you still have a lot of people that have 3 or 4 crews, so they can't throw that many planes into the mix. That's why these matches often last not too long. 6, 7, 8 minutes is what I've seen a lot. We seem to be losing, but we are on tickets, but we are losing on the planes in game, so the enemy doesn't have much in terms of planes active right now. 1 or 2 I see. We're trying to help a little bit with getting these 2 ground targets with the tickets. Tickets are now equal, and it only needs 1 on either side to have the match end. Now we got a friendly kill there, and that ends the match. Well, I don't know if that was what ended the match, but pretty nice. This is the win screen for the result screen for the RB match. Let's see what we got. Final blow, survivor, terror of the sky, 19,000 silver lions and almost 4,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now this plane is very much fun. In the vertical, use it as a fighter. Those two guns sustained on a target can definitely kill 4 or 5 planes before you run out of ammo, depending on whether you attack a bomber. The bombers sometimes take a little more. I mean, if you select a belt with a lot of AP rounds, you can get the pilots, of course, but of course bombers in this plane are risky as you have a lot of glass. I still went after them just to test it, and sometimes you're lucky getting one of the pilots with the AP rounds. Sometimes it takes half your ammo. So be careful and consider whether you want to go for bombers or not. If your aim is very good, then you might decide to do that. You can already come away with 2 kills then in the beginning of the match from getting bombers and then go after the fighters, or you can also just focus on fighters. Keep your altitude and select which incoming climbing fighter you want to attack first, because that is really where this plane shines. It has a very nice loop in the vertical, a very nice turnover. The elevator works pretty nice there and gets control back pretty quickly. Although the roll rate does become a little bit sluggish at the lower speeds, the elevator still works very nicely and it pulls out quite nicely out of that stall speed of 85 kilometers an hour, which is fantastic for those stall maneuvers. But guys, this plane is definitely worth it. I had a lot of fun in it and I hope you enjoyed the review. Guys, I want to thank you all for watching and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.